I actually suggest we start, because I also like to honor those who are here. So, which is you, Barbara. So I suggest actually we start with the opening prayers, and then if other people still arrive, then they can come in. But that's actually how I like to do it. Just start more or less on time. So let's look at the opening prayers. Right. So let's just take a moment to go inside, to have a moment of silence. Or we go into our session, shifting from whatever has gone on before. Feel our sit bones on the seat. Our feet probably on the floor. Just check your posture. With the back straight, shoulders relaxed. The back of the neck slightly extended. Jaw relaxed. Eyes can be closed or half open. Let's be aware of our breathing. Feeling the tactile sensation of the breath at the abdomen. Let's check our own motivation for being here today, doing the session of Be Your Own Therapist. Let's include an altruistic motivation. We may want to do this session to explore our own lives, bring more peace and happiness in our own lives, which is very valid. Yet, let's also expand our attention to others, including the well-being of others in our motivation. With that, let's recite the refuge prayer and generate bodhicitta. So if we are muted, yes, everyone is muted. So it's good to actually chant it, recite it out loud. Do it twice in English and once in Tibetan. The English, because we understand what it means. And the Tibetan, because there is a beautiful tune. So that in a way touches the heart and can open the heart. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye cherang chakni chaknam la jangju bak du jangju badu dakni kyap suchi dagi chenyangye pesanamgi drola penche sangye drupasha. The next one, the offering, mandala offering. So here we offer everything that is good and beautiful. We offer the whole universe to the Buddhas, to all our teachers. This ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. Sajipegi Jukshin Metak Tamre Nidegyan Pali Sangye Jingdu Mekte Ulwai Drokundam Dakshingla Chepasha Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niyatayami. Okay, thank you, Lou, for sharing. And there is Erica as well. Hello, Erica. Great to meet you again, to see you again.
Hi.
I think we all have met before, I believe. Yes, looking. So welcome to this session of Be Your Own Therapist. Today we're going to continue with the theme we started to explore last week, the theme of depression. So I actually I'll say a few words on that, and then I want to start with a meditation, then have a bit more conversation, and then do another meditation in the end. So to have 2 meditations, that's my plan for today. So I think last week we started to explore this topic of depression. So, Be Your Own Therapist. It's a session where we look at, how can we use the Dharma, the Buddhist teachings, the Buddhist methods? How can we use that in relation to issues in our day-to-day life? So I think the first, 4 sessions, we looked at dealing with anger, and now we promoted ourselves to deal with depression. So we started to look at that last week, like, what is depression and how can we use our Buddhist techniques to deal with that. So in a way, we all have the tendency to be depressed sometimes. In a way, life is not always easy. There are an endless amount of hiccups, of challenges, of setbacks, of problems, of issues. And I think especially if we have the expectation that these problems are not there, if we have the expectation that things are going well and nice and pleasant and easy, so then when hiccups arrive, or problems, we have a problem. And in a way, all these, ups and downs in life happen. But when we have a situation where we meet one problem, or sometimes, that sometimes life brings us a couple of problems all at the same time. And I think that's sort of a little trick that happens, that's to happen. So when we have, a lot on our plate, then there is a tendency to get into a depression, to go into that downward spiral. You see, when difficult things happen, and then you think like, oh, what am I going to do about that? And it's all terrible, and I did it all wrong, and I'm a terrible person, and nobody loves me, and it's never going to change. And, in a way, we talk ourselves, I don't know about you, but we talk ourselves into this downward spiral that only makes things worse. So yeah, just check for yourself if or when or how that is the case. So of course we all have, pain that we experience when difficulties arise. There is pain or sadness or grief. Yet the idea is to look at what can we do with it? What can we do when we are in that situation? What methods can we use from the Buddhist techniques to not go into that downward spiral? So in a way, the first thing is we need to be aware of what's happening, that, there are problems. And then also how actually being mindful, how we're dealing, how we start to deal with it. And if we are going in that downward spiral of going down with our energy. So sinking in a depression is usually not the answer. So the best solution is to reflect and analyze our situation and our problems and find useful ways to deal with it. So last week we mentioned a few of them. One of them was, there is this meditation looking at the precious human life, the preciousness of our lives. So that is a meditation that we're going to do where we actually look at our situation and really check it out bit by bit. And we might compare it to other people, or we might, just think about that this situation isn't forever, and actually how lucky we are. And what we usually do in this type of meditation, this is an analytical meditation. So in Buddhism, there are basically two types of there are several types of meditation. When we do a breathing meditation, we actually try not to have too many thoughts. We focus on our breath, and when there is a thought coming, you see the thought, but then you go back to the breath. That is one type of meditation, breathing meditation or shamatha. This meditation we're about to do is an analytical meditation. So we tend to have thoughts, like in a breathing meditation. We may have thoughts, they usually come and go, and we actually, try to not engage with them. In an analytical meditation, we engage with our thinking, but we think about a specific topic. So it will be a guided meditation, and I'll read it, I'll guide us through different steps of the meditation. And the invitation is then to reflect, to think, to mull things over, to think, oh, do I have that? And what do I do in that situation? And is that true? So we think it over. And then at some point with that thinking, we might get a feeling, it might sink down more to our heart. It might sink down more into an experience rather than a think like, oh, well, everyone has problems, and, don't make a fuss about it. That can be just a thought. But if we really reflect on our situation in life, we may get more of a different feeling. I call it an aha moment. It's also called, in Buddhism, it's called a realization. So when we get to a certain feeling, then we stay there. So, and actually it's interesting because I worked with it a bit today. Preparing the session, I did the meditation myself. And after that, so I looked at my own, the preciousness of my own life. Because I have some, I have my little problem of the week is I have 2 workshops that were canceled. 2 courses that I was going to do, one last Sunday, the other one this Thursday, canceled. So here I go. This is my issue for the week. I can go into, being nervous, being unhappy, being depressed, being disappointed, all these things. So I see myself going there. So then I actually did that meditation to get a different perspective. And I thought, okay, I've done the meditation. And then later on, I actually met a friend, an old friend here in the community. And I said, hey, hello, how are you? And she said, okay. And actually, this friend said then she was having cancer. So I was like, okay, really, so compared with my issue, this issue is not just, a temporarily issue. That is quite, a life-threatening issue. So again, my whole perception of my own problems and issues, it started to shift again. The next, I saw a message from another old friend who mentioned that something about her son, who is 18 years old. The son has a Down syndrome. So she, shared some pictures and this and that. And I got like, wow, imagine that, having a son who is 18 with Down syndrome. A very touching picture. She was very much rejoicing in her journey with him. So again, I could compare my life with someone else, with her in this case, and her son. So it is a huge, again, it was a huge shift in my perspective to then my own situation. And it just helped to cheer me up. So that was my own, my own experience today with this, with how I worked with this situation and used this precious human rebirth meditation. So I would like to share this meditation with you. So are you happy to try it out? Great. So let's see. So let's just again take a moment to go inside. Again, feel your sit bones on the seat, feel your body relaxed, shoulders relaxed. Again, notice your breathing. Letting go of previous thoughts, activities. So take a moment to check how you feel about yourself at this moment. Check your life, your current life, your personality, your accomplishments, your abilities, and so forth. Your health, your relationships, your jobs. Are you satisfied, or do you find many faults, much to be desired? Can you notice any feelings of inadequacy, of discouragement, of hopelessness? Just check your own life, your current situation. And even if your present state of mind is positive and things are going well for you, remember past times of depression and discouragement. And make the resolution to get rid of this dark sense of hopelessness. So to help you develop a better perspective on your own life. So first compare it with the life of others, worse off than you. First, you may try to imagine what it would be like to be an animal. For example, being very ignorant with no potential for mental and spiritual development. Being controlled by others, experiencing hunger and thirst, heat and cold, fear of death, fear of being attacked. Or imagine being a beggar in a poor country, or living somewhere in the deserts. Maybe you're the mother of a large family, constantly needing to look for water and food, with no time to think of anything else. A human being, but very little possibility for development of inner peace and happiness, of developing our minds. So imagine you would be human, but have a very severe physical or mental handicap. Being in a wheelchair or having mental difficulties. And the lack of freedom that would bring. Or imagine living in a country where there is political or social oppression. Allowing you little freedom to pursue any interests. So really reflect on these, or maybe other examples that come to you. Put yourself in these situations and feel into them. Feel into the plight and challenge of a beggar, the fear of an animal, the hopelessness of a person in the desert. Just for a moment, imagine yourself in these situations. By really understanding and feeling into these situations, we can learn to appreciate how small our present problems are. Compare your problems with what others have to endure. Be thankful for your current situation. Just try that out. And also have compassion for others and their challenges. And now bring to mind all the good qualities and advantages of your life. You are a human being with an intelligent mind, with a loving heart and a certain amount of health. Check your situation around family or friends and acknowledge and appreciate any friendships, any support by family members, no matter how small. You have the good fortune to live in a country where there is a relative level of freedom. For example, freedom to join this course, explore Buddhism. Also pursue other creative and intelligent interests, social interests, opportunity to expand your consciousness. Opportunities to go anywhere and do different things that you choose. You enjoy a good standard of living. And most of all, you have the potential, because of all these other benefits, to investigate and transform your mind. Think how few people on this planet and how few creatures share this opportunity, the freedoms and the chances that you have. So when you've considered this deeply, you will realize how rare and precious this human life is. Your human life. So really appreciate your good fortune. So once you've seen the disadvantages that your life is free of and the advantages you enjoy, you must decide how to best use these opportunities. There is endless amount of possibilities to enjoy life, to travel, study, work. These are all can be good, but can be more the mundane opportunities. One of the greatest benefits of our human life is the opportunity to transform our minds, the opportunity for spiritual development. So contemplate these points slowly and explore them. See how you think and feel about them. You have the power to control your mind and through it to achieve the development of your highest, fullest potential. Even achieving enlightenment. So then, when you have that potential, how is it possible to feel hopeless and depressed? Make a strong determination to make good use of this human life. And when you have any insights, any experiences, just bring them back with you. You return your attention to your body, to the here and now. Let's open, you may open your eyes and also return attention to the group. So let's just open the space. I'd love to hear. If you put yourself in gallery view, then you can, maybe you have that already, but on gallery view, you can see the whole group. So then you have a more of a sense of group. We're a small group, but we're a group. So let's just open the space. Any insights? How was this meditation? Anything you'd like to share? Any comments? Yes, Erica.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I was able to visualize a little bit like a contrast of my life and the hardships that some people go through life. So I was imagining, like in Brazil, there is this sort of slum, like people living in shacks and things like that. And I just and I saw on TV some of their, how they live, and it was very imagining how their lives are, and they live close, like they don't have any sewage or anything like that. So how they go with their lives, and how they um, they manage to live in that situation. And also I was listening about some refugees from Afghanistan that went to Brazil also, and how they had like some sort of security, and some sort of, not security, it's like lifestyle. And when they went to Brazil, like they were doctors, they were physicians and scholars, and they went to Brazil as refugees, and they they have to start over with everything in a country they don't speak the language, and they don't have anybody sometimes. And sometimes they live in big houses in Afghanistan, and when they went to Brazil, they like living in a support house, and they lost a lot of their the way they used to live, like the uh, but they see this as security, so it's necessary. So that's what I was comparing that, and thinking about that, and the concentration of some of the things that I have.
Yes. And how does that relate to your life, or does that, what does it do to you? You reflect on that.
Yeah, I was reflecting and thinking that, for instance, I have a supportive of my family. I'm not a refugee in a sense, in the sense that I have to, to go to a place where I don't have anybody. So I'm not, but we have other challenges, but it's not this challenge. So this is a very difficult challenge, and that's what I was thinking about. Like I have sewage, and I have a good place to stay. And like if I go to Brazil, I have a place to stay. So that's what I'm comparing. I don't live like in slums and shacks and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds beautiful. That sounds like a great piece of work to actually see these different circumstances and bring them in your awareness. Yeah. Yeah. And can that help you, or do you think that can help you, lifting you in if there is a downward spiral or depression or so?
I feel like I have more right now in my life. I have more anxiety than depression necessarily. I have sadness, moments, but not depression. I had depression before, and I remember those times when you said for me to bring it up, and then I brought that up, and also I can compare, how the strength that I got now compared to the loneliness that I had like that.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, they also say, because this is also one of the meditations we can do like regularly, so that it almost becomes a habit. Because all these meditations and tools, in a way, if we wait till we are in a depression and then we just suddenly need to learn this meditation, it gets very difficult. Yet if this is a meditation we do now, or we do it regularly, to actually strengthen our own ability, so that when we arrive in a difficult situation, we don't go down that downward spiral, but we go like, hey, there's something I can do about it here. So that's also why we do it here. So yeah, right. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that. That's great. Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Barbara?
Yeah. I think that when I'm considering myself in relation to other people, I'm astounded how some people can be in the worst possible circumstances and they are not depressed. And I find that inspiring. Not that they're in that situation, but that, and I just think of like, for example, like Viktor Frankl, who was in the Nazi camps, and it's like, everything was hopeless, and yet, he survived and he thrived after, and and he said, basically, it's like we don't have any control over what happens to us. We only have control over how we respond or think about it. And I also think about some of these, like in nature, where, like a hurricane will just come through and like devastate an area, change the shoreline. It's like everything is permanently changed, but things grow back and things change. And there's this constant like evolving of like making the best out of the situation. And I think that any of the times that I have been depressed, there is some sort of stagnant quality to it. Like I'm frozen. It's like I am just like static. And if I can, in an energy kind of sense, or in a physical sense, or a psychological sense, just get that movement going in some way, either in my own body or working like what we're doing, like looking at somebody else's situation, like plugging into that energy. Like I feel like that it's like a crowbar to get me out of that kind of mode. And like I saw, like, and I see it a lot when like a spouse dies, like when my mom lost my dad, like there's just this complete like stopping, like there's nothing after it. And then if the person is willing, there's this kind of like little bit of like, it's not recovery, it's just kind of like a regrowth of something completely different. And I try to remember that every time I do get in that stagnant mindset, that I have to keep moving and I have to keep going. And I have no idea what's going to happen next. I don't know if I'm going to like, if it's going to lift or if it's not going to lift, but like, just keep that possibility open for growth and movement.
Yes.
That's kind of the way when I look at other people's situations. Like I have seen people that like, like everything is happening in their life and they're not depressed, or maybe they're depressed, but they keep moving. But and when I get depressed, I'm just like, it's full stop. Like, that's it. I'm done. Yeah. And it takes a while. So like, I try to learn from other people and how they kickstart things to keep going. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Isn't there like one of the mind training that like, we need to make the best use out of all the sentient beings that we know? And to me, that's like one of the best ways that I can do. It's like from learning from other people's problems
Mhm.
and understanding how it can transform me. I
Mhm.
don't know if that, so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, there are a lot of, in a way, a lot of different tools and techniques and methods that we can work with. So the thing is, to use them. So this is just one of them. Last week we touched on a couple. So I wanted to go a little bit deeper just in one method to also bring that habit, like, to do. This is something you can do again and again. You can do every evening or every, this is, just for yourself, going back through that, how precious is my life, do that in a 5-minute little review of the day, or 2 minutes or 20 minutes, however, whatever you can do to actually review, like, wow, how is that for me, and how can I deepen that sense of actually appreciation or gratitude, and then also to make the best use of this life and see all these amazing opportunities. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that, Barbara. Oops. Anyone else wants to add?
Nothing really came up in the meditation, but while people were talking, it brought up things that I used to be very depressed in the past. And the stagnation part, the way I used to handle depression was I would fixate on something like a video game and just play it over and over and over again. Even though I knew exactly what was happening, what was going to happen, I'd spend 12, 14 hours a day just not thinking. I didn't have to think because I had memorized everything.
Right.
And it's until some external force comes along and forces you out of that rut. In this particular case, it was Buddhism.
Right.
It just, it was like it just kicked me right out of there, because it was something I hadn't encountered before. And it just infused me with enthusiasm because,
Yeah. Beautiful.
And then the other thing is that I can tell when I have anxiety. Like right now, I'm fairly anxious because I'm moving to a new place and I don't know anybody. And I can usually tell because I usually hide all my anxiety. But when something goes wrong, when I'm anxious, I tend to ritualize. Okay. And so I'm doing a recitation and then I do something wrong. And I get real anxious. I try to hurry and I try to, and just by stepping back and seeing what's happening, it tells me, well, I'm doing that because I'm anxious. And so I've developed this technique I now use that when I start getting anxious like that, I just tell myself softly, 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 lightly, 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 and I just stop being so intense.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful description. Yeah. Yeah, it makes me, all your stories actually also make me think, because we need, and that's my own sense, like we need to do these things again and again, because it's not good just to think about them here, like, oh yeah, well, I'm actually not so bad off, other people are much worse. Yeah. But to actually let it sink in our system. And that takes time. So we also need to be patient with ourselves. It's not that you say, oh, we do that on a Tuesday and, that's it. To actually do that again and again and again, so that our whole system, the cells in our body, our DNA, our whole system is more used to it. Or in Buddhism, you would go more like even, our mind stream gets more used to it. So our body, our mind, our whole energetic system gets more used to that way of being. So that actually can help us to change our responses to then, the challenges in life when they happen. So so thank you for engaging with this, and to deepen that, because that takes courage. I think that takes courage, because it's so easy to say, oh well, let me play a video game instead of check YouTube, or do something simple, superficial, eat the chocolate bar, or whatever your thing is. But to actually have the courage to say, like, let me look at this. And I think that's a beautiful step. Oh, yeah. Yes, I actually, unless there is something else you want to discuss, I actually had another meditation for our final time. Are you willing to do another? That is a loving kindness meditation, and that's another one to actually really, nourish our hearts, nourish our minds. So are you up for that? That's another one that really helps with depression, with anxiety, with a lot of these states of mind. Okay, so then let's go back inside and bring ourselves present again. Again, feel your body. Very quick body scan from your feet upward to the crown of your head. Back down again to your feet. And you can start by imagining all living beings around you. Even when you're just in a small room, imagine your mother on your left, your father on your right. Even though they may have passed away, you can imagine them there. Imagine your friends and relatives behind you. And in front of you, you may imagine or visualize those who have hurt you or you dislike. And then around all those other beings that you don't know, you've never met, total strangers to you. Right to the horizon. They're not crowding you, there's plenty of space. And imagine that the sense of harmony and peace pervades everyone. And consider how wonderful it would be for yourself and for others if you were able to love all these beings. Consider that everyone wants to be happy and no one wants to suffer. Just like you. They're all trying to make the best of their lives, even those who are violent or angry. So as we want to develop loving kindness, take a moment to remember a situation where you felt loving towards someone. Allow your natural, positive and warm feelings towards this person arise. You can imagine it as a warm, maybe a golden light in the center of your chest, glowing radiance, transparent. Before you can love someone else, you need to love yourself. So for a moment, take the opportunity to send this loving kindness to yourself. Loving yourself means accepting yourself as you are, with any present faults or shortcomings. You recognize you have the potential to free yourself from your problems. So really wish yourself all the goodness and happiness there is. And imagine this warm energy in your heart expanding until it fills your whole body, your mind, your whole being. So then imagine this warm, loving light radiating to others. Maybe first to your friends or family, to those you like, you care for. Thinking, see that it bringing a smile on their face. Peace in their hearts. And think, may you be happy. May you be at peace. May your heart be open. May you be one with love. See this warm golden light flowing towards them. And turn your attention to some of the people you have difficulties with. Consider they also want to be happy and don't want to suffer. They may have acted the way they did because they didn't know what else to do. So wish them to be free from confusion, from anger and selfishness that drove them to act the way they did or do. Really wish them to be free of suffering and have a peaceful mind. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May your heart be open. May you be one with love. See that warm golden light flowing towards them. And then extend your positive, warm feelings to all the other people, all those you don't know. Completely open your heart and imagine your love flowing in all directions. Thinking, may all be happy. May all be at peace. May all hearts be open. May all be one with love. See their suffering disappearing, and their minds becoming peaceful. See that golden, radiant light touching their hearts, bringing a smile on their face, bringing them whatever they need, peace or healing, food, shelter, justice. And then conclude this session by thinking you definitely have the potential to love everyone, even those you find difficult to deal with, and even those you don't know. Generate a strong wish to develop that open, loving heart. Bringing happiness for yourself and for others. So let's dedicate the positive energy of this meditation and of this whole session to finding happiness for ourselves and for all beings. And eventually developing ourselves to the state of enlightenment, being able to be of service to all beings, including ourselves. With that, let's bring our attention back to the here and now. So this brings us to the end of our session. So I just want to thank you all for engaging with this, for joining in and doing this together. So we've just done the dedication, not by the formal prayers, but in another way. So that's also possible. So I just want to thank you, and I hope this is of benefit to you. May it continue to work in your life. And I hope to see you next week.
Next week.